Hey y'all, today we are doing a combination that you didn't even know that you needed. We are doing a Caribbean soul food fusion dinner, and this meal hits all the flavor markers. It is sweet, it is savory, it is cheesy. We have a delicious salad. You guys are going to love it. Now I am going to start off by doing some baked candied yams, and I am combining brown sugar, white sugar, pumpkin pie spice, a little bit of salt, cinnamon, vanilla extract, a pinch of lemon extract. That flavor is going to really balance out the yams. And then I'm also going to add in a touch of rum. Now, because I am going to be baking these in the oven, I am going to be making my paste first before I put it over the yams. I do like to add a touch of maple syrup just to get my little combination going. Okay, now I have the most adorable white and gold heart enameled cast iron dish. Y'all, isn't this so cute? I found this at Home Goods and I just had to grab this. Now, I have sprayed it with a little cooking oil and added butter because I want to make sure that the yams don't stick before they release their juices. Yams have a lot of juice, so you do not need to add water. Baby, don't add no water. Okay, don't do that, honey. Don't do that. Okay. What we're going to do is that we're going to add this brown sugar cinnamon mixture. We're going to mix it up, and then we're going to add the other half. This is going to make it easier to distribute all the flavors. Now, since this dish has a covering, we are going to bake it with that. However, you could do this in any baking pan with foil. However, I have found that this enameled cast iron, cooking it this way, really holds the heat well, and I feel like it cooks it really evenly. So if you do have a dish like this, try it out. I'm going to put these covered in the oven at 375 degrees initially for 30 minutes undisturbed. Then you're going to find that your yams are still going to be a little tough, okay? However, they are going to have released a lot of liquid, okay? Do you see it? All right, see, that's why you didn't need to add no water, okay? So you want to mix these up. This is pretty much the only time you're going to be able to mix them up without breaking them apart. You're going to cover them again and you're going to put them back in there for 20 more minutes. Now at this point, your yams are going to be soft. It's been 50 minutes of cooking. So as you can see, it's a little soft, but they are still hard in the middle. Y'all gonna call me crazy for this, but the best thing to do is to get a turkey baster and to baste the yams. This is so that they don't get dry. So I'm just going to go take my syrup and I'm going to put it on top. I'm going to cover it again and I'm going to cook it for about 15 more minutes. Then I am going to cook it uncovered for about 10 minutes. I want to make the syrup get a little thickness to it. That's going to be really delicious. And then I'm going to cover it and I'm going to let that stay warm. Next up, I am making a curry brown stew goat. Now, before some of y'all click off or throw a little fit, let me just say that you can also prepare this dish with beef. However, goat is really mild tasting and it's also not very expensive. I only paid $6.89 a pound for this goat meat and it was very clean and it's really tasty. So you can prepare this with beef, but if you can find goat, typically you can get it at an African or Caribbean grocery store. Try it. If you have never tried goat meat, let me know in the comments if you would be willing to give this curry brown stew a try. This was so delicious. And if you have tried goat meat, let me know what is your favorite way to prepare it, because I think that goat shines the best in soups and stews. Also, let me know if you would like to see any more fusion dinners, whether that be Caribbean, African, soul food, any sort of food. Actually, I can do anything. So just let me know in the comments. Now, I'm going to season up my 2 pounds of goat meat with some beef bouillon, thyme, onion powder, garlic powder, some allspice. My favorite curry powder is this Jamaican jerk curry powder that I found by Blue Mountain. It's already a little spicy, so I'm not going to add any additional peppers, but it has some great flavor. To make this whole meal easier to prepare, I have pre-chopped the peppers, onion, ginger, and garlic that I'm not only going to need for this dish, but also the rice dish that I am going to make. I'm adding in some fresh cilantro and also some browning. That's where that brown stew aspect comes in. It's going to give it a nice color and a good flavor. I'm going to mix everything together, and you could marinate this overnight or for a few hours, but I just let mine sit on the side counter for about 15 minutes just to let that flavor seep in. While that was marinating, I went ahead and got my oil hot, and then I'm going to throw in my goat. You could do this in 2 batches, but your girl won't doing that today, okay? I'm going to lay everything out, and I'm going to let it get a good color, undisturbed, for about 4 to 5 good minutes on a medium heat. When you're using cast iron, you actually don't have to cut the heat up all that high in order to get a good sear on your meat. You do need to do this to bring out the flavor. I am then going to add in some green seasoning. I actually freeze mine in little ice cubes so that it stays fresh. If you don't have this, you can add in a mixture of, say, ginger, garlic, some green scallions, stuff like that. I'm going to now add in some peppers and some onions, and I am going to let this sweat. You want the goat to bring out its natural juices before you add in any additional water. That way your brown stew is going to have the most flavor. Now, to be honest, goat, it takes about 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours to get it soft. But we're going to skip all that today, because once we get this goat to release its juices, we're going to add a little water to this, and then we're going to finish this off in the pressure cooker. Okay, y'all need to use the modern appliances if you got it. All right, and if you don't got it, baby, get it. So I'm going to add the water so that I can get the fond off the bottom of the pot, and then I am going to pressure cook this for 25 minutes. I'm then going to release the pressure, and then I'm going to add in some carrots. I do not want those carrots to pressure cook for the whole cook time. They gonna get super soft, like you trying to make food for your grandma with no teeth. And baby, we don't want that. So I'm only going to pressure cook the carrots for about 3 minutes. And then I'm going to allow it to natural pressure release for about 3 minutes as well. And then I will quick release the rest of the way. One thing that I love about goat is that it's actually way less fatty than beef, and so you tend not to have a bunch of fat that goes to the surface, but you can skim that off if you don't like this. Remember, you can also try this recipe with beef, like a chuck roast cut into like larger chunks, something like that, stewing chunks, and this would also be delicious as well. Let me know if you are going to try this. Now let's go ahead and bring some more soul, baby, with some mac and cheese. Now I am going to show you how to not only do a simple mac and cheese today, but this is also going to be a small mac and cheese. So if you ain't trying to make for a crowd, you can do this. I boiled 6 ounces of noodles in a little chicken broth and water. I'm only using 1 cheese, and this is some Colby Jack, and I am going to grate it up with my food processor with the little blade that's up there. Y'all, this is the best melting cheese, and doing it with your food processor is the easiest thing to do. Now that my noodles are done, I drain them and I add some butter and about 1.5 tablespoons of flour, and I toasted it for about a minute or 2. Then I'm going to put in 1 cup of milk and about 1/2 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to mix this until I get out most of the lumps with the flour. I'm going to put in about 1/2 packet of sazon for that color, a little bit of garlic powder, and a pinch of Vegeta. We are keeping the spices very simple. This is a mac and cheese you can do, and it will feed about 3, maybe 4 people. All right, well, unless you go ham on the mac and cheese. Now, I know some of y'all be making a mac and cheese basically a meal, so if that's the case, then maybe it's only going to do about 2 people. But this is a good size if you don't want a bunch of leftovers and you ain't doing a ton of people. I'm going to put in about 2.5 cups of cheese, and I'm just going to allow it to melt until my sauce gets nice and thick, baby, okay? Then I'm going to put in my noodles and just mix this around. This is a very creamy mac and cheese, baby, dryware, okay? It is nice and gooey. You see, I got my little loaf pan. See, I told you this was really not big. I'm going to add all of this in, and then I'm going to top this with even more cheese. Now, I wanted a very mild, smoky flavor, so I topped this with a little bit of smoked paprika, but the regular paprika is also okay by me, all right? I am going to cook this at 375 for about 20 minutes. You want to let it go until the top is nice and golden brown and it's bubbly and delicious. Honey, would you try this mac and cheese recipe? I feel like this is a nice, simple recipe for when you're not going to try to bust out 5 cheeses and all that extra. Just something nice and simple and good. Now, I ate me a little serving of this mac, but hubby tore into this. And a lot of you guys ask me, how big is my husband? Because he eats, most of the plates that are on my thumbnails. And guys, he's not big at all. He is an athlete, so he really burns off all these carbs. Baby, I eat like 2 spoonfuls of mac and cheese and then a bunch of salad, and some protein. Because, girl, these thighs ain't built for all these carbs, okay? To go with the stew, we're going to do a simple seasoned rice with butter, ginger, green onions, allspice, a little bit of rosemary and thyme, but you can use any herb, a little bit of garlic, as well as a pinch of cilantro. I just like to saute this for about 1 minute before adding in a cup of rice, and I'll just toast that for about a minute. Then I will put in 2 cups of water and a pinch of Vegeta. This will basically make like a vegetable bouillon. I'll cover this and I will let it simmer for 20 minutes on the lowest heat. And then I like to go in and fluff it up with some chopsticks. I do this so that I don't smush the rice and it stays nice and shelly, okay? Next up, we are doing a delicious honey mustard tossed salad. Now, honey, if you're cooking like this, okay, this may not be the only salad getting tossed. Oh, don't come for me, y'all. I'm married, grown, and saved. I like to use Persian cucumbers in my salad because I find that they are nice and sweet, as well as these mini peppers. They have a nice sweetness to them. I'm going to cut some cherry tomatoes in half, and then I'm making a really delicious simple dressing. All I'm adding is some olive oil, some sweet and spicy mustard, a little bit of honey, apple cider vinegar, and a pinch of salt. And then I'm going to whisk this together. Stop buying those salad dressings at the store. They're full of all types of oils and preservatives and stuff. Make your own. It's really easy and very good. I'm going to add in all of my chopped veggies, and then I'm going to put in some baby kale and just toss this together. I also ended up adding a little bit of a spring mix to this. This salad is even good on its own with another protein. Y'all have to try this. I hope you try these recipes and love them. You guys know I love you and Jesus loves you. God bless you for supporting this channel, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.